the launch meeting in there?
Getting there.
Second time.
Recording in progress.
Got it.
Thank you.
Oh, see, we have a few more people on now, yay.
Oh, good. Who do we have?
All right, it is now 7:03, and I will call the meeting to order. First order of business is the minutes of 2/7.
I'd like to make a couple changes in the wording for Mr. Kamara's.
You should move it and second
I think you
it
have to
first.
move that.
I'm sorry.
I'll move the motion.
Thank you, Bill.
I'll second.
Thank you, Scott.
Bill, who seconded?
Scott. Rich?
Scott second, right?
Yep, Scott seconded it.
All right, now it's time for your comments, Rich.
Good. I believe it should be asbestos removal, not asbestosis. So the extra IS is,
It's just spelled wrong.
Not correct.
Yes.
Third line down under number 4.
Yeah, asbestosis is the disease.
it's exactly. And I think that Mr. Kamarmi spoke about upgrading, and I would change it to say the doors in the front entrance and the cafeteria. Because it's two things.
Front
But that's-
entrance, doors, and cafeteria?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
and
Also, in the list of people here, it has me as non-voting, I should be chair.
yep. And Dick, I found 2 that I think were incorrect. Did you have a chance to
They
check?
were, we double, triple
Okay,
checked.
under the school warrant article number 6, I moved to recommend it, and Wilkes McClave seconded it. That's on page 2, under school warrant article number 6.
It has Mr. McClave,
That was Wilkes.
yeah, right here.
Yep, and then under the last page, town warrant article number 8,
It was seconded by
Mr.
Mr.
Spence seconded it.
Yes.
In case we're wondering, Jordan signing the minutes, doing the minutes, she did them from the recording when she wasn't here.
Yep,
So it is correct, a non-attendee is signing the minutes.
yeah.
Any other changes, corrections, or additions? Scott?
I have no clue.
Some people are complaining.
Can anybody
over
say?
Well, why are you touching it?
No, it's asking,
You
sorry, it's
must have
asking
done
about
that.
Susan.
I was just
I have no other comments about the minutes.
All right,
Okay,
better?
I kept asking if they could.
Those in favor of as amended? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained?
So it's unanimous.
Thank you.
All right. Following the agenda. The next item up on the business is town warrant article number 12. And this is one that we didn't have in time for last week's public hearing, so it's, will be a new one. What we will do is Judy will explain it, and we'll then open the public hearing for comments from the public. After everybody in the public has had a chance to say whatever they wish to say, I will close the public hearing, excuse me. And then the budget committee will discuss it among the members of the budget committee and then vote by roll call to either recommend or not recommend the article. All right, Judy, you wanna have a brief discussion of it and
Very
then?
briefly, I think many people are aware of this situation, but we have 2 properties in town that have for a number of years been in violation of some local and state zoning ordinances and state RSAs, and in addition to, in 2015, there was an actual court case, and there was a court order, and various things occurred in the interim between then and now, trying to get to a resolution, get to a cleanup of a very difficult and unsightly and unhealthy situation. And the select board, over the last probably year, struggled with trying to again reach some compliance with the court order without a tremendous amount of success, and came to the resolution that we needed to go back, get the authority, which we had, we were told, under the original 2015 court order, to go in as a town and clean up the situation. And we got a quick quote without accessing the property, but just looking from the road book properties, and then realized that there would more than likely be additional legal costs associated with this and could prolong it further, but we didn't want to wait another whole year. So we at the last minute put this article on to ask for $150,000 for cleanup and legal and court costs to take care of a pretty bad ongoing situation. And that's where we are.
All right, it's now 7:10. And I'll open the public hearing on Article 12 of the town warrant. I think there's copies available here of just the warrant article in question. For any comments from the public, if you raise your hand, I'll try to call on you, and I'd like one person at a time, so I'm speaking. Sue?
Yeah, two questions. One, does the court order include going into the buildings or just what is on the grounds around the buildings?
My understanding it's the grounds, but to be honest, I have not read the court order in the last 6 months, so I would need to get a legal opinion on whether or not it truly involves inside the buildings, but I know it's the grounds.
Okay. The second question is, what happens after this? After it's cleaned up, presumably?
So presumably it's cleaned up to some cost. The folks cleaning it up, the company or the individuals, presumably sell what's salvageable, get some money, the money comes to the town because we've paid them. And then if there's any difference between what it cost us to have them come and what we got back, a lien would be placed on the property for the remainder. So eventually, at some point in the future, one doesn't know when, that money would come back to the town.
Right. But if it is, so if they satisfy the lien,
Well, then
we're gonna do this all over again in 20 years?
Well,
Yeah.
I can't tell you if it would be different or not, but I suppose that could happen.
Okay.
I would certainly hope not. But I won't be here.
Me either.
Just a further question on that, Judy, what is to prevent the situation from happening again? Is the court order stop more accumulation of?
It's
Does
my
no-
understanding, and I'm not a legal authority, that this court order talks about this situation. So if it were to begin again, unfortunately, I think it might have to happen again. But one could hope, cross your fingers, that perhaps there wouldn't be the enthusiasm to do it again. It's a very hard lesson if it happens. It's very difficult.
Just, go ahead.
Are there any back taxes owed on the property?
No.
I don't believe there are at this point.
That doesn't, that's not,
But
pertinent to this issue.
right, the issue is separate from that,
Right.
but
Cause would you follow up with a lien? What happens with a lien? You got 2, 3 years, and if it's not satisfied, the town can take the property?
It's not like a tax lien.
okay. It's not like a tax lien.
Like,
It's usually only satisfied either if the lien is paid off, or somebody dies and the property gets sold, or they don't die and the property gets sold. And then from the sale money, whatever many liens may be there, get paid off in the order of their priority.
If there's a mortgage on the property, that comes first. Then,
right,
then, I don't know how many liens there are.
down to the bottom.
So that's pretty easily accessible information, right? So this is gonna be like a mechanics lien, it's gonna be last on the list. Have we looked and find out, like, just to get an idea of what the probability is of actually recouping this money, or?
We have not looked to see if there's a mortgage, at least I have not. We could
No,
go up
there's
on the
not.
Grafton County records, I don't think there is.
Mhm.
We don't know, the only other one I think that might take precedence would be an IRS lien. The feds always come first. Haven't looked.
Well, I can answer that, there is the mortgage
There
on
is-
both of the properties. Mhm.
There is now.
Yes, small ones, but there is.
But they've always been current on their taxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any more questions from the people here? Questions from those on Zoom? Some sort of symbol so Dina can activate you.
You'd be-
He wants to ask.
Hebe has her hand up.
Yes, I see that. I'm headed that way. Go ahead, Hebe.
I just really appreciate the select board taking this step. I think it's, been long overdue, and there's been a lot of grumbling in town about it. It's a difficult thing to deal with, and I appreciate the select board going ahead with it. Thank you.
Any other Zoom comments? No?
Okay.
All right, it is now I'll call it 7:17 for close the hearing. Now, on the budget committee, what I'll do is first ask for a motion to recommend the article. And we'll get a second, then I'll go around the table alphabetically with what is your vote, and if you wanna say something about why you're voting the way you're doing, you're free to. If you don't wanna, you can just say yes or no.
Do we get to ask questions?
Yeah, or ask questions before you, now, are there any general questions before we get to the vote?
You have to move it and
All
second.
right, move it first.
Then you can discuss
I will
it.
move it.
Judy move. Who will second?
I would like to second it.
Bill now.
Bill seconds. We'll get it straight this time, the first time. All right, are there any questions now to Judy about the article before we go around on the vote?
Did you have a question? Ladies first. No. Well, my question is, so I also have not read this court order, but is this court order compelling the homeowners to clean up the property because they are not so it's not a court order that says the town is now in their rights to go and remove personal property from those properties?
It says that they are in violation, I do not have a copy of it in front of me, and that they the court grants the town permission to go in and clean up the property.
But a court, okay, so, but you still are putting in money for legal expenses, because you believe that despite the court ordering the town.
I believe that property owners will go back to court.
Yeah,
And we've already paid some money to our attorneys to double check what our standing is. And nothing is ever so cut and dry that,
I understand, yeah.
And you don't know that you'll need all of that,
That's
so what you
absolutely
don't use stays there, it doesn't.
Right, no, but at least it clears up. I said the court has asked, has told the town we're in our rights to go and do this. Right,
Yes.
so this is not like the people were compelled and we're renting a bulldozer, right? Okay.
I did have a question. It's usual that the attorney is at the town meeting to
Yes.
answer these kinds of questions a little bit more thoroughly at that time.
there will be an attorney at town meeting. It will not be the attorney who originally went to court, but it will be a member of that firm.
But someone who can answer the
Hopefully so.
questions and represent, right? Because I think there will be a lot of questions at that time. It would be great to have some more answers to those questions right now if we are to be in support of the money being spent, so.
They won't, if it's a monetary question you have, I don't think they'll guesstimate what they think the legal fees are going to be.
I think we should also, in furtherance of that, we should know what the liens are on the property, if there are any, what the mortgage is on the property, if there are any, and where the town's lien would stand in the priority collection, if there are other liens. And that should be something available at the town meeting before.
I mean, are you taking a position, Dick, that there should be zero cost to the town?
I would love it to be, I'm
I
not
understand,
sure.
oh, yes, but I mean,
No,
we are
I'm not
enforcing.
necessarily taking that position.
Okay, I mean,
There may be some cost to the town.
I understand, but we're doing this because there's a violation
Right,
without necessarily assuming a financial outcome one way or the other, is that correct?
yeah. Any other questions from the board before we take a vote? All right, going around the table in alphabetical order by last names. Vince?
Why did you ever start at the bottom of the list? I'm really undecided on this. I
All right,
find it,
would you wanna abstain?
I feel like it's, like, should we even be permitted to do this? No, I guess like if the legal order compels us to do so.
It doesn't compel us, it gives us permission, there's a difference.
Mm.
A
I mean, there is
zoning
an
ordinance,
aspect of
yes.
it that is like potentially unsafe, I think,
Oh, I
but.
heard
Yeah,
that,
okay.
James.
Yeah, I think that, there's the court order, they've been in violation for a long time, not just of a town ordinance, but of a state
Junkyard
statute.
rule.
A state statute.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very sensitive, nobody likes to see this happen, but there has to be an end to it. And there are health issues involved, both with the people who are, at the properties, but also the land surrounding. You have, vehicles that are leaching toxic fluids into the ground. Grant Brook runs right by one of the properties, so this is not something that, we can just let continue. As sad as the situation is, something has to be done.
Are you
Anyway,
ready to
that's my-
vote one way or
that's-
the other?
that's
Or should we-
my
would you like me to
comment.
come back?
No, I'll vote to support it.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Yes. Judy?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
James.
James?
Yes.
Yes, all right. Hayes?
I'm gonna abstain. I feel like, if I may comment at this point, that I would like to know a little bit more information. And so I think my role on this committee at this point in time would be to abstain.
I don't vote unless there's a tie, and there's no possibility of a tie at this point in time. Thank you, people. Wilkes is not here. Bill?
Yes, and I just make a comment, on behalf of the select board that's worked on this for, what, 9 years?
We've worked on it for about 5, I believe the prior one worked on it for at least 3, it's been a long time.
Right, so this is not, I'm not quite sure what the right phrase is, but there's been plenty of opportunity for corrective action to avoid this. And hard work on the part of the town to avoid this. I'm voting yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
All right, I have 8 yeses and 1 abstain.
That's what I have.
All right. We're in the meeting phase, and the next thing on the agenda is the MS-27. The MS-27 is the proposed school budget. Now, we have already voted and held a public hearing on the budget, all the school articles last week. So therefore, this is really a perfunctory just signing of the MS-27, which is the report that gets posted of the school budget as recommended, as submitted by the school board and then recommended by the budget committee. Now, we basically, for people that haven't read the minutes, we basically recommended all the articles except the bond. And the bond, we had 3 yes and 7 no for recommending. And that's reflected in the way the MS-27 was prepared. And if you look on basically the last page of it, or on page 5 of 10, you will see the not recommended sections of both the bond principal amount and the interest on the bond that was all included in that article.
I'll move to approve and sign the MS-27.
I'll second.
And your second, Scott second. Any further discussion on the MS-27? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, see none. Any abstain? So I guess that becomes a 9-0 vote, right?
Yes, so.
The next item on the agenda is the MS-737, which is similar, it's the town warrant. We, the form has been filled out, we won't be able to sign it until Dina puts in the vote that we held
A few minutes ago.
10 minutes ago, right?
No, I have the signature page tonight.
All right, so it will be signed.
Pre-approval if you,
Oh,
yes. Unanimously. Or not unanimously.
whatever.
All, that's right.
So do I hear a motion to approve and sign the MS-737?
I'll second it.
Okay, you're second. Who moved that? I didn't hear.
Bill.
Bill moved
Thank you.
and Vince second, right?
Yes.
And this is approve and sign.
Mhm.
Any further discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I have it as 9-0 again.
Okay.
Now, that basically completes what was the agenda for this evening's meeting, other than the mechanical signing by members of the Budget Committee. We have a lot of people in the audience that wouldn't be here if they didn't have something they wanted to say about something. So, even though we basically finalized the action items, if people would like to say something, I will give you the opportunity. The main opportunity at this point, if you do not agree with either the board, the committee's recommendations or the budget numbers, is either from the floor at the school district meeting or from the floor at town meeting. There is a provision in the statute that exempts the bond issue from the 10% rule as long as certain things are followed. And Janet, is she hiding in the back here?
She's not
No,
here.
Not
she's
here?
not here.
Anyway, the school is
It may be too
well
late.
aware of them, and it will be presented in the format to meet the state's requirement that the floor at the school district meeting is not limited by the 10% rule
This way, but
for amending the budget as recommended by the budget committee, with the exception of the bond issue. The 10% rule will apply to everything else. Do people understand that?
It's, and it may be too late, but there is a legal exception that can be effectuated, but it has timelines, and I don't remember the timelines. I had it printed out, but I gave that printout to a member of the school board to look at, which if they present an article that specifically speaks to not adhering to the 10%, then they have the opportunity to exceed the 10%, which the bond would do. But I don't know if that timeline has already passed. I didn't bring all that paperwork with me tonight.
But it's basically back in the school board's court, so to speak, and in the town's court at the two meetings.
Yep.
Now, with that in mind, do people understand that? Or are they as thoroughly confused as everybody else? Now, does people have something that they would like to say to the budget committee at this point in time? I hear Sue's hand up.
You hear it up?
On the capital reserve funds, Article 4, what happened to the bridge fund?
There is a special warrant for funds for the Edgel Bridge, is that what you mean?
No,
Okay,
there was a bridge fund, like all the other funds. At one point, vehicle capital reserve, property appraisal.
we still have one of those.
There's no bridge fund listed on this warrant article.
Because you're not putting
Well,
any money into
I was
it
gonna
this
say,
year.
maybe this year we're not
Right.
putting any money
That's
into
right,
it.
yeah.
We're taking
Why?
money out
Why?
and we're fundraising. We are trying to keep the amounts going into the warrant articles down, while we build up several others. And that wasn't one that we were, I'm sorry that I did not bring all that information, because the past weeks we discussed all the individual items, and I thought tonight was just one article, so I apologize for that.
I'm concerned because we have 12 bridges in town, plus some very large culverts that are gonna need to be
We are
converted to bridges. And if we don't start saving, we're gonna be caught short again.
Well, here again, I'm gonna emphasize what I said earlier. If you disagree with the budget as it's being presented, you can amend it on the floor of town meeting. And if you feel that there should be money put into the Bridge Capital Reserve Fund this year that isn't included in the article, you can propose it as part of the town meeting.
Yeah,
You can't do that.
you can propose it, but it may not be a legal,
Yeah.
article.
It may not be legal because it's a new subject, but
Right.
it may be legal because it's part of an existing article of 2 capital reserve funds. I can't make a ruling on that from here.
Yeah, if you were increasing one of the ones that's listed, yes, but you can't add a new one.
Is the bridge fund a new one?
No, it's not
on the
listed in
warrant. You
this
can't add a
year's
new one
warrant.
on to the warrant, listed on the warrant.
Wait a minute, there's somebody that's been signing these things incorrectly, people.
It's okay, we're all set, I figured it out, we're all set.
Because you used to have the printed name on the left and the signature on the right.
It's all set.
Is that
Just
not how
sign
it
away,
is?
sir.
Fine, anywhere you want.
That's right, I don't care where you sign it, that's all.
Um,
No.
Sue, I'll look that
Anyways,
up
yeah.
if you want, and get you some answers, but. Michael?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. After the first public hearing, I and some other people were not clear on any reasons for voting again, to not recommend the school bond. It was a vote of 3-4 and 7 against, but we didn't hear what the objections were. And I wonder if there could be any clarification of that tonight.
Well, what I said, I think we all said something before we voted during the meeting. And I think to go over that, where we all said why we were voting no or why we were voting yes, I think it's just repeating what was done at the last meeting, but Judy, you wanna
Well,
say
I
something?
would suggest that you review, 2 times, the last 2 meeting minutes, because when it was moved to go forward to public hearing, there was a very lengthy discussion. And then there was a repeat of that discussion, perhaps shorter at
So
the.
I feel
I feel
this
that those
information is in the
statements
minutes.
have
All
been
right,
made. I
thank
do
you.
believe so.
And Judy, I will say that the videos of those discussions are on YouTube, and I certainly could make them available. They're out there to the public now. I'd be delighted to make links to them available.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public?
Having those links would be very helpful. Sorry to have missed the places where I might have gotten the information I was hoping to get, but I'd still like to be able to fill in my thinking for the town meeting.
I think different members had different driving reasons why they voted the way they did, either for or against. So each person had a slightly different take on it.
Dick, just comment.
Bill?
No, just, if you had concerns, you need to bring them to the school meeting, not the town meeting. And they're 2 separate meetings?
Right, I understand
Okay,
that.
all right, just, because it won't come up at the town meeting what the school warrant is.
Okay, so the school board can recommend this bond.
No, they're 2 separate meetings, they're analogous to the town meeting, but there's a school meeting where all the voting takes place on the school budget
Yes,
and the school warrant.
yes.
So that's a different time and a different agenda.
Right.
That'll be Thursday night, typically starts at 6. Which day, the first Thursday in March?
It's the
It's the
Thursday
Thursday.
before town
Town
meeting,
Yeah,
so.
some just don't know, I think town
I
meeting
think
is like the
it's
12th or
6:30.
the 14th or something like that, so it'll be the Thursday prior
It's
to
the 7th.
town meeting.
okay.
Is it the 7th?
That's good to
March
know.
7th?
I'm checking, but Hayes just said the 7th, so
Thanks, Hayes.
Nothing can happen at town meeting
I
about
think
this.
she's with it.
Hayes, do
Yes,
you know if
the
it starts
7th.
at 6 or 6:30? It's typically 6.
I don't think it's
But-
typically 6, that's what I have on my calendar.
I have it at 7 on the, on the,
It's not 7, I know that, it's either 6 or 6:30.
well, I took what it was last year.
I don't know.
Late last year?
No.
Start at 6.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay, whatever.
The school,
Yeah.
Julia?
Yes,
Julia?
yes, I was trying to be recognized. Yes, but is there a little town meeting where all of this is gonna be discussed?
There will be a little town meeting this year, yes,
Okay.
and it's the Tuesday before town meeting, starting at 6:30. Usually there isn't a huge discussion, but there is an opportunity for some questions. The candidates, I believe, will be presenting. There's some zoning amendments, school questions, and then some town questions. It's a 2-hour session. In person, in the school.
And can I say something else? I'm really kind of disappointed, about the attendance to some of these hearings that you've been schooling this and. it's
Well,
really-
it's typical, because it's early in the season and people don't usually get their antenna up until it's town meeting time, and then, you know, we've had the discussion several times, so, but thank you, because we sometimes are disappointed too.
With Julia and myself, the only two at the schools last
No, you were
hearing
there.
on,
You were there.
you were there, Scott? I missed you.
Scott was there too.
Can I ask a question of Jen?
Sure.
I emailed asking if the school was gonna be present at Little Town Meeting, cause I knew you were doing something else.
Yeah, I
So,
don't
can
know,
you
did
find
you email
out?
Yola? She might be, somebody might, because Yola might be online, she might know.
Alright, well, if you can find out.
I can find
let me
out,
know.
I think the answer will, somebody will be there to represent the school to answer, I mean, it'd be kind of not to be, so to answer questions about the
That's what I was
bond.
gonna say, we could take it
There
out.
may be another, there've been recently a couple of tours of the school.
Right,
There may be
These,
another
I
one
think, are all
planned,
signed.
I don't think there was, but I also don't know.
I don't know if that's the right one to sign, is it?
Oh, no, it is, this is the
Yeah,
school
they're two
one,
sets.
that's the town one.
so, yeah, I just was wondering, cause
Yeah.
we can take the school off if you don't, if they're not gonna come, so just.
No, I think we'll definitely, somebody will be there, maybe not the whole board, but
Right.
I'll be there,
Just
with confidence, so.
All right.
Another cell.
Any other questions, or I am ready for a motion to adjourn the budget committee, please, we've got a bunch of forms to sign before you disappear.
So moved.
Is there more?
Yeah,
Against.
all right, that's always a unanimous motion.
Seconded,
Yeah.
Vince and Debbie.
And
All those
it's
in favor?
Aye. 7:39.